Okay guys, here's part one to the practice final, or the review. Number one says identify the leading coefficient, the degree, and end behavior of the function. Okay, so let's start with leading coefficient. What does that mean? Leading and coefficient is a number, and leading is a number that's out in front when it's in standard form. So if we take a look at this function p of x, the leading coefficient is -5, and it is in standard form. The highest exponent, which is also called the degree, from highest exponent down to lowest. So right here the degree is 5, leading coefficient is -5. So once again, leading coefficient, -5, the number that's out in front. The degree is the highest exponent. It's not 3, it's 5. Degree is 5. And the end behavior, well, you got to think about if this is an odd function or an even function. Remember, if it's an even function, then they're both gonna ending towards pointing up, kind of like a parabola. But if it's an odd degree function, then it's gonna end up like a cubic function like this. But if it's negative, then it doesn't go like this. It gets reflected like this. Be a good idea to review your notes. Anyhow, just to help us out here, let's make a quick sketch about the end behavior. Since it's an odd degree function, we know that the end behavior is not in the same direction. In other words, one's down here and one's up here. So like here's a cubic function, right? It has an odd degree function. So any odd degree function is going to have the same end behavior as a cubic function. This one is an odd degree function, so it's going to have the same end behavior down here and up here. If you think about it, if you think about a cubic function, the end behavior is down here and up here. However, this is a negative in the front, which means it gets reflected. So a cubic function, if it gets reflected on the x-axis, it's going to be like this. So the end behavior is up here and down here. Okay, if you think about the graph. So we already know the leading coefficient is -5. Check. The degree is 8. No, that can't be it. So A is not it for sure. Let's go with B. The leading coefficient is -5. Okay, the degree is 5. Yep, so far so good. As x approaches -infinity, that means that if you look at it to the left, as it goes to -infinity, then the function itself goes to +infinity. It does go to +infinity. And as x goes to +infinity, as it goes to the right, then p of x, the function, goes down to -infinity. So B is the correct answer. Now hopefully with this info you guys will be able to answer number 2. So with that said, I'm skipping number 2. You guys could try that out and check your answer on the post on Edmodo or from the classroom. Let's move on to number 3. Write a function that transforms that function f of x, which is 2x to the cube, 2x to the third plus 4, in the following way. We want a vertical stretch by a factor of 4. Now if you think about what a vertical stretch is, a vertical stretch is, okay, I can't really teach right now. My son's making a lot of noise. I apologize. A vertical stretch is, vertical is up and down. So if you're stretching something vertically, you're messing with the y's, not the x's. So if it's a vertical stretch, you're going to be messing with the y's. Okay. Now, how are we going to vertically stretch this by a factor of 4? That means I want to multiply, you're messing with the y's, I want to multiply the y value by 4. Now, you're probably thinking there is no y. True, you can't see a y, but this f of x is really a y. So we're going to multiply the y by 4, which means that we're going to multiply the whole thing by 4. So if I vertically stretch this by 4, if I multiply it by 4, it's going to give me an 8x to the third plus 16. Okay, but that's not the only transformation they want you to do. Vertical stretch by a factor of 4. Okay, so far we've done that. And then it says shift 6 units to the left. Now remember, your h shift is left and right. Okay, and you have to think opposite. Your k shift is up and down. So they're saying shift 6 units to the left. That means when you plug it in, going to the left is in the negative direction, but when you plug it in, it's actually going to go in as a +6. okay, because you think opposite. So where does the h belong? It belongs inside parentheses with the x. So we really have the 8, we have parentheses, we have the x, and of course inside the parentheses we're going to put a plus 6, close parentheses. Let me go back to the red, close parentheses, and then it's to the third power plus 16. Ladies and gentlemen, that's your final answer right there, which is B. Okay, so hopefully with that you guys should be able to do number 4. And now I'm going to move to number 5. You guys could try number 4 on your own. Check out your answer. Make sure you get it right. Number 5, write the simplest polynomial function with the zeros -4, 2, and 2/3. Now keep in mind, what are zeros? I don't know if you remember what zeros are. In the classroom we have a poster or a paper on the word wall that says that zeros, answers, x-intercepts, all those are the same exact solutions. They're all the same thing. So when they say with the zeros, they're talking about with the x-intercepts or with the answers. So if the answer is -4, then where did it come from? It came from the factored form x plus 4. The answer 2, where did it come from? It came from the factored form x minus 2. And the answer 2/3, where did it come from? It came from 3x plus, actually minus 2. Let me erase that. And minus 2. Okay, so these are all where the zeros came from. These are where the answers came from. If it were like if it were an equation set equal to 0, this is what the factored form would be. So as you can see, none of these answers are in factored form. So what you have to do is, give me a second. Hope you guys are able to concentrate with all this noise right here at my house. I'm not able to, sorry. Anyways, as you can see, none of these are in factored form. So what you need to do is actually distribute all of it and see which one it actually is, right? So I've zoomed out a bit here, and if I were to distribute x times x, we get x squared. And then we go x times -2, we're going to get -2x. 4 times x, you get a positive 4x. And 4 times -2, you get a -8. So combine the like terms in the middle, you'll have x squared plus 2x minus 8. And that's a quadratic trinomial, but you still need to multiply that by the 3x minus 2 that's out here in the back. So I brought that down right there. So we need to distribute. So let's distribute the 3x times x squared, that's 3x to the third. 3x times 2x, that's 6x squared. And then 3x times -8, that's -24x. And then let's distribute -2 times x squared, that's going to be -2x squared. And I might as well write it right below the other x squared. And then -2 times 2x, it's going to be a -4x. And finally, let me move this over a little, last but not least, we're going to go with the -2 times -8, and that is positive 16. So now all we got to do is add these up. So our final answer is going to be 3x to the third plus 4x squared minus 28x plus 16. Okay, now let me make that 16 better. There we go. Okay, so now what's the problem here? What do you guys see? That none of these have the leading coefficient of 3 that we have over here. Now remember, this is an equation that we created up here in factored form, and it was equal to 0. So technically this equation is still equal to 0, and if we want to solve it, or not solve it, but if we want to modify it and make it look like there is no 3 right here, well, we need to get rid of this 3. And how would we get rid of that 3? We'd have to divide everything by 3. Divide this by 3. That way it'll be gone, just like all of these guys over here that don't have a 3. So we need to divide everything by 3, not just that 3, but this 4 by 3, 28 by 3, 16 by 3. And if we look at our possible answers, let's go back. The only one that fits that answer that we have there is B. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. That's a great way to make a mistake. Look at that. Minus sign right there, and we have a plus. So it's not B. So scratch that one. So the answer is C. That's right. Because it has the x to the third. It has the 4/3 x squared. There it is. Negative 28 over 3x. There it is. And the 16 over 3. There it is. So C is the correct answer. So this does take a while. Hopefully you understand how to do it, and you should practice it by doing number 6, and hopefully you get that right answer. Check your answers like always when you're done. Number 7. For number 7 we have f of x, which is a cubic function with a, might as well talk about this as a k-shift. It's saying write the rule for g of x when f of x you subtract 1 from it. So let's look at our multiple choice answers here.